YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with some more NBA draft content. I'm ranking the small forwards in this video today. I ranked the point guards and the shooting guards already, so if you haven't seen those rankings, go check them out. We got mock drafts up. We got all kinds of NBA and NFL content on the channel, so go check it out if you haven't already. After these small forward rankings, we'll eventually get to the power forward, centers, big board, a final mock draft, all kinds of fun stuff, and we still got you covered on the NFL side too, so before we get into these rankings, our subscriber goal is 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, please do so. That'd be much appreciated. Welcome back to the channel, and we thank you very much for you that already subscribed to the channel. Number one small forward in the draft. No surprise here. It's Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, there is a little risk because he's only played 2.5, maybe less, about 2 games of college basketball. So, and they weren't too pretty, to be honest, but it is hard just to get in there and play like the way he did. So, but again, I think teams are going to be split. We talked about this in the past. I think teams really value the high school, their high school evaluation off him. They don't really take in consideration at the college level all that much, especially in his case. Those teams will continue to do what they already done in the past, evaluate at the high school level. And there's teams that it's gonna be a big question mark because how many games he played, the injury, and how he played at the college level, even though it wasn't really much of a chance. So I honestly think, well, if he came out last year, well, it would have been out of high school. So say you were allowed to come to the NBA draft straight out of high school, he would have been a top pick. So I still think he's going to be a top pick. Pretty obvious. I know there's been some talk he can actually drop to around 8. Don't think it happens, but it could happen. It's going to be interesting to see, interesting prospect. But I know I don't watch high school basketball, so I can't say that I watched a whole lot of him, and I think he's going to be a top player. But, I mean, you look at the top NBA players, I mean, really now there's still quite a few of them in NBA history. They came out of high school. The recruiting process was overall correct. I think more accurate than after you see the guys playing college. Some of these guys go to college after their number 1 recruits, and it changes their game. So I'm trusting the process, really. So I got Michael Porter Jr. at number 1, at number 1 small forward. I think he'll go 7 at the latest, the very latest. So we will see, though. Maybe this injury talk comes back into play and that hurts him, but he was cleared for a second pro day, so I think he'll be okay. Number 2 could be a guy considered as a shooting guard, but it's Mikal Bridges from Villanova. Love this guy's game. You know, there's a bunch of guys like Michael Porter, like a couple of the centers, the big men. Trae Young just really discussed the most in this class because they're the elite guys, most talked about guys. And Bridges, Villanova's Bridges, is not discussed in those groups, and I'm not sure why. I mean, he does every part of the game. Like I said, he can be a shooting guard because he has the jump shot. He got 18 points per game. He gets steals. He gets blocks, rebounds. That's why he could play the small forward position too. He can match up on forwards, can play defense, plays on-ball defense. 44% from the 3. He shoots the 3 ball very well from center. It looked automatic at times. So, I mean, this guy can play shooting guard. He can play small forward for the reasons I said. Can match up on anybody. He has the length. There's really no weaknesses to Bridges' game, and he should be considered with the elite guys. He should easily go top 10, but will he? That's another question. We will see. I like him a lot. Very good season for Nova. Big part of that team. I mean, getting 18 points per game while having how many guys from the Villanova starting lineup and the 6-man DiVincenzo are going to get drafted, and he got 18 points per game, put up all those numbers. So impressive. So impressive. I think he's somehow became underrated. Somehow. So he's my number 2 small forward. Could be shooting guard. Probably would be number 2 shooting guard as well. At number 3 small forward, it's the other Bridges. Miles Bridges from Michigan State. Could be a stretch too. Could play the 4 spot, but I like him at small forward because he can shoot better than people think. 17 points per game, 7 rebounds. So good at rebounding the ball. Pretty physical down low. That's why I said he could play the 4 depending on the team. But he can shoot pretty well. Not as good as Mikal Bridges, but or Michael Porter. You expect them to shoot better, but overall good player. At this time last year, he was projected to be maybe a higher pick than what he's projected now, and I guess that's because of the other talent, not really because of him. So, good player. He comes in at number 3 small forward on my list. Number 4 small forward is going to be Chandler Hutchison, Boise State small forward. Another one of those guys that could be a shooting guard too. 20 points per game. I know maybe not playing as good as competition as some of these other guys, but 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, but a negative here is 3.5 turnovers per game. You're not the point guard. You shouldn't be turning over the ball that much. I mean, they did have him take the ball up a lot because he's by far their best player, but that is a little concerning. But overall, I like his game, and it shows how good the small forwards are for him being number 4 too. Because 20 points, 8 rebounds, to be able to take up the ball, I think he can play. I think he easily goes in the first round. I think he can be a shooting guard or a small forward. So we will see where he lands. Could be in the early 20s somewhere, possibly earlier. So he comes in number 4 for my small forward list. Number 5. Is Keita Bates, D out from Ohio State. Another guy that can play a small forward spot or the 4 spot, power forward, kind of a stretch guy. Another guy with 20 points per game, got 9 rebounds too. Pretty consistent shooting. More of a big man than some of the other guys on here, but can play the small forward spot. That's obviously why I have him listed here. But a top player in the Big Ten. So, I mean, there's really nothing to dislike about him, I should say. Maybe not as consistent of a shooter as the other guys ahead of him, but I mean, a team that takes him over, if they take him over a Hutchison, they're looking for a different style of player. It's pretty obvious. I think you can compare him to Miles Bridges more, so a little bit different style players here that I just had him fall under the small forward spot. On to 6 through 8 on my small forward rankings. We got Jacob Evans from Cincinnati. Good on-ball defense guy, can get some steals, can shoot pretty consistently too. Good field goal percentage out of him. And then Grayson Allen could be a shooting guard as well. I think more his style of play, where he's best really is more of a small forward spot, but he could play the 2 easily as well. People kind of think of him as more of just a college player, won't really succeed in the NBA. I think he can, just needs the right team. I've seen he can possibly go to the Warriors late in the first. That'll be a great situation for him. Maybe not the most action right away, but that'll be good. And Zana Musa from Bosnia. Again, I mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of foreigners, but he's been getting some hype. Possibly even, I've seen him like mid first round, and I've seen him like early second. So it's going to be interesting. I feel more comfortable early second, but we will see. Just a guy to look out for. Some of these teams like drafting the foreigners. Maybe you stash them for a couple years or two. We will see. Should be a very interesting NBA draft. Should be full of trades, excitement. Can't wait. It's coming this week. We got plenty more NBA coverage leading up to the draft and even after about free agency to come. We also got NFL content on the channel, so stay tuned for all of that. Plenty of content already on the channel, though, so go check it out if you haven't already. Our subscriber goal is 10,000 subscribers, so if you haven't clicked that button yet, please do so to help us out. Thanks for watching. That'll do it. Goodbye.